Good evening, everyone. I'm here. I'm going to prepare some kombucha, and I am going to show that to anybody that be interested. Um, Start with washing your hands, making sure that you have nice, clean hands, which I took care of before I started the video here. And I went and gathered my gallon of fermented um, kombucha. It went through its first fermentation. So I will remove the mother first from the fermented. And here's one mother. I'll place it on a clean plate. I can't show you the whole thing, but clean plate down below. Then there was two mothers in here, and oftentimes that happens. Sometimes when you have one mother that you put in with a kombucha batch, a lot of times another one will grow in the meantime of the first fermentation. I use about 2 weeks for my first fermentation. And now I'm going to prepare this batch for the second fermentation. So usually what I do is I just use a measuring pitcher, for lack of better words right now, an old one. Anyway, I'm going to pour my batch right in there from the gallon jar. And usually what I do when I go through after the first fermentation, is when you flavor the kombucha, if you want it flavored. Usually from that, I do preserve at least one raw bottle full, because when you start new kombucha batches on their first fermentation, you need 2 cups per gallon of tea. So it's always good to have some on hand, so that if you want to start a new batch, you can. So I usually do pour out the first one, and I don't add any flavoring. And I pour it about to the top like you would if you were canning. It's about the same distance from the top. You want to leave a little bit of room for air and gas buildup, because that will happen when it's fermenting. And then I close it tightly. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that one raw, so that I don't forget that. And sometimes I place the date, sometimes I don't. I've been making kombucha once a week, so I really don't need to, because I've been going through it about as fast as I'm making it. Anyway, today's date. It is the 30th. Almost the end of March already. Hard to believe. All right. And then I'll take some more and I'll fill that quart pitcher up again. This time, however, I'm going to add flavoring to it. And usually with about 5 cups, I put about a cup of flavoring in. And my flavoring actually is fresh lemon juice, freshly squeezed. And those are from organic lemons. I usually use all organic material. And then after that, I also boiled some tea and made some tea, turmeric, ginger, and I make it really strong. And this one actually had a little bit of licorice and cinnamon in it as well. And I use about a cup of that and a cup of the lemon juice to get me 2 cups of flavoring. And I add sugar to the tea after I've made the tea, because it's hot and the sugar dissolves well. So I only add about a 1/4 cup to about 2 cups of tea. And that's so that on this first fermentation, there is sugar available for the SCOBY and the yeast and the bacteria to do its action and ferment. So anyway, I'm going to add about a cup of this to that. Again, and I got a cup in. And now I'm going to go ahead and place the mother over here. The mother looks like that. You can actually make candy from the mothers. I haven't done that yet, but maybe that's something I'll explore later during this timeout from teaching or a real job. But anyway, let's place that aside. I do have quite a few mothers, so if anybody that watches this would like to try this, you are welcome to come purchase one. You'll want to take a glass jar along and some maybe cheesecloth or something like that. I've got rubber bands here, but you kind of want to let your mother breathe. So, and also if you just make a little black tea ahead of time, and probably like a cup's worth, and place about 2 tablespoons of sugar in with that. And if you have that cooled down to room temperature, put that in your glass jar and take that along when you come get a mother. And then you can take it home right in that. Anyway, I am up to bottling now because I have the flavor added to this one. So I am just putting it in clean glass bottles. I never bottle it in anything but glass. You do want to be careful if you use the funnel. Sometimes I get carried away and go a little bit too far. Get a little too much. But that one looks good. And then I'll cap that pretty soon. I do like to use the bottles in the store. So I have a few daughters, or a couple daughters anyway, that collect them for me if they ever buy any. Obviously, I used to, so I had some of my own before I started that I had saved up. Otherwise, I bought these on Amazon, and actually it was a pretty good price. I got 6 bottles for like, maybe $18. And they have nice sealed lids for them. And they come with an extra seal as well. And they work actually really well. Bottling it as well. Ooh, I had another mother in there. It just slipped under the tea. So I will grab that. See, here's my other mother. And I'll put that over there on the plate again. Now I want to add my flavoring, and actually I'm going to have extra flavoring. So I might just add a little bit more, so that it has even more flavoring. Typically when I get done, I guess, I don't notice the smell as much. I mean, some people obviously, I find that there's 2 types of people. Either you like it or you don't like it. Now, flavor does make a difference, and you can experiment with a lot of different flavors. I've been using lemons just because they were easily accessible this winter. I really didn't have a hard time finding organic lemons. And I also did, at one time I ordered some organic lemon juice online from Amazon, and actually that was nice too because it was simple, and I didn't have to squeeze all the lemons. So you can purchase that as well, and I imagine I could explore that with other concentrates. Maybe you could find some different things. Organic fruit is fairly expensive, so you can also do partial things too. Like, I haven't tried raspberries and blueberries, but that's something I would like to try yet down the road. I have done apples, specifically this winter, because there was a lot of apples available and still are in the stores. Anyway, you see that process. So in the meantime, I'm going to finish up this last bottle and fill it. And then I just want to show you my other thing, getting a batch ready for the first fermentation. I think I'm going to actually take a little bit out of my raw, because I shouldn't need that much raw, because I already have some. Because I want to make sure I fill the rest of this bottle at least. And then I'll save the flavoring for my next batch, which will be next week. All right. So once I've got that done, I cap them and I put them in the closet. And yeah, they basically stay at room temperature, just a little below that if I'm gone. But yeah, just around room temperature. And I think the fermentation takes place better in the dark. So that's highly suggested to do that. And then after you're done with that, you're ready to start. That's second fermentation. So second fermentation, I'll probably leave it in the closet about 4 days. If you want it more carbonated, 4 days is actually quite long. I usually do towards the long end because I like more carbonation. But if you don't like as much carbonation, you can take it out already after day 1 if you actually want to. But I would wait for sure 2 days before I took it out because it's not going to be fully fermented. Anyway, I have a little left over here. So, bon appetit. Excellent. Anyway, then I wash my jar up because usually I just flip the jars into the next batch. So I quick wash that up. And I been using Everspring for my dish soap or for my hand soap. I still had some Meyer's dish soap left, so I haven't bought the Everspring dish soap, but I really do like the Everspring brand. And it is natural ingredients. And it's cheaper than Meyer's, which is kind of valuable. I guess I like to look for a good deal, and I think their products are good from what I've seen. And I use their laundry soap as well. All right. So now that I have the jar cleaned out and ready to go for another first fermentation, these jars are all ready for their second fermentation. Anyway, I get that in there. And again, earlier today, I actually had boiled water. You have to do 14 cups of water. And when the water is boiling, you want to add a cup of organic sugar. And then you put 4 or 8 bags of your choice of tea. And let them steep. Now, I usually let them steep for a long time because it has to cool off well. The tea has to cool off. You really optimally want it, 70 to 80 degrees. You can use the tea if it's 90 degrees, but that's kind of high. And I never want to take the chance of killing my mother because it will kill the mother, which mother stands for symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast that ferments. And basically, kombucha just really is a good probiotic and really works with your gut bacteria and so forth to help you digest better, your liver to function better, your kidneys to function better. But it's a health drink. And if you like it, that's a plus. All right. So I made 14 cups of tea. I did 4 bags of turmeric ginger. And I did 4 bags of lemon green tea. And that's what I used for the tea on this first fermentation. And then I added a cup of sugar to that so that my scobies have something to survive on and ferment and make the carbonation possible. So anyway, carbonation just comes from the carbon dioxide that's given off by the bacteria and yeast as they digest and go through fermentation, which is a chemical reaction. Anyway, I had this bottle of raw. So this is 2 cups worth. And I need to add that to this first fermentation, as I spoke about earlier. And I've had this refrigerated. It's one thing you do want to do when you do take them out for second fermentation. They have to be refrigerated. So then I get my mothers back, and I'm just going to add that small one that I found at the bottom. And I think I'll just add that, well, I think I'll put the original back in. This one, sometimes if they get really gray on the edges and stuff, sometimes I just toss them. Sometimes you can just cut that away. I know it's not something I really need to worry about because it's natural, obviously, but for some reason it kind of bugs me. So if I get one that has a lot of brown spots, sometimes I just chuck it because I always have enough mothers. But again, technically, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just has some darker bacteria or yeast on the edge. All right. When I have a whole jar in the closet of extra mothers that I have collected because of the many batches I've done. I started doing this in late August and really have been carrying through since that. So that is my kombucha making. If you want to know, maybe next time I'll revisit how you start from the beginning to actually make your own mother. But for now, if you want to buy a mother, they're available. So get in touch. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're well. Good night.